Hi, Catherine.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Okay, Catherine. So you just started a brand new, let's do some hypotheticals. I love
Okay.
my hypotheticals. You just started a brand new engagement, brand new customer, brand new everything. It's not even virtual. You're actually showing up someplace on day one. Okay.
Okay.
As you walk in on that new client sort of environment,
hmm
what's the dream scenario when you walk in as fractional CMO, and what's the nightmare scenario?
So if I'm walking in to my dream client to start the
Right.
process as a fractional CMO, the ideal situation would be that, first of all, everybody has a clear understanding of the business objectives, all the
Mhm.
stakeholders. They are specific, measurable, achievable, right? The other thing that would be amazing with a dream client would be that they already came prepared with all the technology and the tools that they wanted to leverage in pursuit of that clear objective. The nightmare client, and I've already had one in business,
Oh,
is somebody who wants to treat the fractional CMO like a magic pill or magic bullet. They think that they can hire me and then I'm suddenly going to know everything about their business and
mhm.
have clear objectives for them, having just stepped foot into the office. That creates a lot of issues there. It's a two it takes two to tango essentially. I need them to have buy-in in this process and I need them to have clear goals.
All right, that's good. So basically, in the dream scenario, the ship has been built. It's pointed in the right direction. It needs a captain.
It does, and maybe a little bit of gap filling because that's the great thing about having a fractional CMO is they come equipped with a team already to fill those
Right.
gaps for you. You get the strategy and, just filling those gaps.
Yeah. My whole business model is being
Yeah,
one of those people who builds a gap. Okay.
that's right.
All right. So you're in. It's still day one. You get
Mhm,
your one-to-one FaceTime meeting with the CEO. Okay.
mhm.
And CEO says, Catherine, like just from the nature of your job and my job, you deal with a lot more CEOs than I deal with CMOs. So tell me, if I'm the CEO, as CEO, is there anything I should start doing to get maximum benefit out of you being here, or is there anything I should stop doing because you're going to take it over, or no one should be doing it, so that we can get maximum value out of the money we're spending on you here?
So, a lot of what I do as a fractional CMO is similar to my time as an officer in the military, where
Mm-hmm.
I had to show up to a new mission, a new job, a new office every couple of years. And the things that helped my senior leaders get maximum value of me and the leadership I brought at that kind of mid level executive placement would be that they had very clear and specific goals about what they were doing,
Right.
and they were willing to get a reality check as well. They were willing to get a little bit grounded. It's great to have lofty goals, but we need to openly address the reality of the situation, especially with marketing when you bring on a fractional CMO. Um, I need to know where to focus my time and effort as well because the buyer's journey, whether it's B2C or B2B, is online. Like I just had a client that I'm doing work for get approached by two government agencies who found him online and asked him to bid.
Hmm.
So the buyer's journey, by the way, just to go off on a little tangent, is 100% online, regardless of which industry we're in. And if you are a CMO or a CEO who wants maximum value from your fractional CMO, you've got to be willing to have that reality check and be willing to adapt to how the buyer's journey happens in
Right.
modern times as well. Um, be willing to embrace the ugly truth about what you want and what it takes to get there. That's how you can get maximum value.
All
Clear
right.
and open.
All right. So let's shift to a different hypothetical,
Mhm,
different scenario. You're on stage. You're the speaker. There's 250 people in the audience.
mhm.
They all came out of corporate. Every one of them became a fractional CMO yesterday.
Okay.
This is day two of being. They're freshly baked right out of the oven.
Yeah.
Okay? So just I'm going to give you like three thoughts. I'll start you. You finish talking to that audience. Okay. So number
Okay.
one, guys, as like starting out as a fractional CMO, brand new, the thing you're going to be most shocked by is what?
That Santa isn't real, not even in business. Many businesses are flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah. They're going to be shocked by that. Well, yeah.
So with me as well, when I got into business, I
Mhm.
I always looked up to business owners, CEOs, C-suite leaders. I
Right.
I thought they had it all together. They knew what they were doing, and wow, I wanted to be like them. Over the past several years working directly with CEOs and C-suite leaders, I've learned that many of them have been getting by the skin of their teeth. Even if the revenue is quite high, there
Hmm.
is no overarching and measurable strategy or significant KPIs that actually help them. That's what I would tell the fractional CMOs would be shocked by. I'm really hoping that one day I do meet a business that really has everything together, but yeah, I stand by my statement. They'll be shocked about the
Uh,
lack of cohesion in their overall objectives and what they're going for.
all right, I gotta. That reminds me of an article I read, and I think like
Uh,
Forbes or Fortune, like many years, like 10 plus years ago. Um, some study had just been done among chief financial officers at publicly traded companies, right? High achieving kind of people, right? Virtually all of them had a casual game on their phone. You know what I mean by a casual game? Like,
right.
yeah, it's really easy. You can play around in like 3 or 4 minutes. You just sort of, and virtually all of these publicly traded companies CFOs had a casual game on their phone that they would play in like scattered minutes throughout the day. And when they were queried about it, the number one answer is of why they played the game. All kinds of different games, but is that they felt that it gave them a sense of accomplishment during their day.
Ooh.
That like they didn't feel like in their job they were like, I mean, they're at the highest level a CFO can go,
Yeah.
right? In a big publicly traded Fortune 500 company, and yet to get some sense of accomplishment throughout the day, they'd play this little game on their phone, whatever game they like.
Oof.
That
That
says a
checks
lot
out.
about how everyone's sort of like winging it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really are. It's crazy to see, even at the small business level, just local businesses throughout my state that they've stayed small the entire time they've been in business for like 20, 30 years. They've been flying
Yeah.
by the seat of their pants their whole time.
Yeah.
They're leaving so much money on the table. Yeah.
Okay. So, still on stage, still talking
Okay.
to these new fractional CMOs. Finish this thought for them, all right, and yourself. Many clients just don't understand.
Many clients just don't understand that a fractional CMO is not a magic bullet.
Oh, but they don't really think that CMOs are magic bullets, do they?
They do. They think if they finally invest in somebody like ourselves to
Mm-hmm.
come into their business, fill those gaps, and hold them accountable to their business objectives and strategy, that suddenly, within the first quarter, they're going to see revenue like they've never seen before, that everything will be solved from operations to their branding to their messaging. And it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Right, ma'am. All right. Last of the three questions before they're playing the music. They're trying to like some interns trying to pull you off stage, and you got one more point you want to make, and it's this: you're saying, guys, if I could leave you with one lesson about getting clients, it's this.
If I could leave you one lesson about getting clients, it would be go over the top in the beginning, in the first year of positioning yourself as a fractional CMO. Give more than what they're paying you for. Your reputation will speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Your clients will recommend you and have glowing reviews about you to others. And over that course of time, you can tighten up how you deliver value and also accept the money that you truly are worth, which is so much more than you'll be asking that first year positioning yourself as a fractional CMO.
Well, you give first, and then you get.
You give, then you get.
Okay. Now, let's shift again. You're talking to a lot of prospects throughout the year. You're talking
Mhm.
to like groups that you're in, and so you're talking to a lot of companies. And
Yeah.
one of the things about marketing is that almost everyone thinks they have a good understanding of at least most of marketing.
Hmm.
It's just the nature, right? So as you're talking to clients or prospective clients these days, And they talk about concepts or tools or platforms, in marketing. What's overrated, do you think, that people are trying to like, hey, have you thought about this? That's over. And what's underrated? Like, what do you think is like there? It's either new or it's old, and like it's just really not appreciated for how powerful it could be if you
Yeah.
actually like invested in it. So what's overrated these days, and what's
Uh,
underrated?
Let me tell you this, as a fractional CMO, good marketing isn't about having more ideas or
Hmm.
exciting viral moments or whatever that shiny new marketing tactic is. There are fundamentals to human and buyer psychology that remain unchanged, and that is underrated and underrepresented in how businesses market themselves. These fundamentals are routinely overlooked by even Fortune 500 companies. Good marketing is about having the discipline to stick with the fundamentals, learn from large swaths of data that take years, and a willingness to adapt what you're doing or invest further into those fundamental marketing and buyer psychology strategies to capitalize on what works and what doesn't. Don't chase the shiny object. I'm telling you
Right.
right now, don't do it.
I was I have this weekly newsletter,
Hmm.
LinkedIn and from email, and this week's was about talking about how a lot of tools now can sort of scrape someone's LinkedIn page
Uh-huh.
and then sort of create this sort of intro for a cold email or a cold message or DM
Yeah.
that says, hey, so I noticed that you focus on strategy driven growth in blah 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 in this and that. And it's so generic and so like obviously not real, right?
Hmm.
And it's going back to the fundamentals. So like the question was in the newsletter is no one, and I work with all these tools, right? And I have clients who use all these tools. Like the
Yeah.
tools are great, but the
Yeah.
idea that you can like fake up something and make it, generic or really sort of off-putting, and it says like no one ever asks. People talk about like, look what it can do, and no one ever asks, does anyone enjoy receiving those emails? Like, do people like them? Do they respond to them? And nobody asks, right? It's
Hmm.
fundamental psychology. It's no different than anything that would have been sent 100 years ago.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
fundamentals are fundamentals because they're fundamental.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful and it's not exciting. And that's the
Not
thing
exciting. It's
many
not
people
sexy.
don't know. Yeah, it really isn't. And that's honestly what took so long to gain traction as a fractional CMO is when people would come to me, they were
Yeah.
expecting some sort of wonderful, like shiny idea that they hadn't
Right.
heard of before. And I'm like, gentlemen, oftentimes it's a team of gentlemen. I'm like, let's look at the fundamentals here. Okay. You are not addressing the most basic thing, which is people do business with people they know, like, and trust. How are you positioning yourself in a way that is trustworthy and likable, right? And that's applicable to anybody. If you're in sales, if you're in marketing, if you are a C suite leader, people need to know you or at least feel that they know you, like you, and trust you.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Okay. Second question,
Mhm.
and this is either the easiest or hardest question of
Okay.
all of my questions. So just be prepared.
Okay.
What is marketing?
Marketing is visibility. I'm
Mm.
telling you, people cannot do business with you if they don't know that you exist.
Yeah.
So that's what marketing is. It's an effective, steady, long term way at staying visible and staying top of mind. And no,
Yeah.
it does not mean constantly sell, 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 have these, you know, crazy offers that are irresistible. It's visibility.
No, I've got this slide I show clients, and it says, here's all of marketing in 3 sentences. And sentence number one is some number of strangers need to be told that we exist and what we sell.
Yes,
And we don't know how many strangers that's going to take, but it's way more than you think.
way more than you think. And it takes a little bit longer than you would
Yeah.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as you're talking to clients as a fractional CMO,
Hmm.
um, what are some like red flags and green flags about this prospect? Like, I don't know if I'm going to be a fit there or if anyone would be a fit there. And wow, that's exactly what I would hope someone would say. Green flags and red flags for prospects.
As a fractional CMO, a red flag for a prospect would be that whoever is approaching you, or maybe you
Mhm.
are approaching them, they are unwilling to bring other stakeholders into the conversation,
Mm.
including their CFO. They all need to be showing up to that conversation. So that's a huge red flag. A green flag as a fractional CMO meeting with a prospect
Mm-hmm.
is that all of them are in there. You have the VP or the president of marketing or a marketing director, you have the CEO, you have the COO, and the CFO engaging you in conversation and truly are willing to understand. Let me give you another red flag as well as a fractional CMO.
Mm-hmm.
When they
Yes,
are
please.
fixated on price, when they are fixated on that and they want to see a bid and then they'll get
Mm-hmm.
back to you, that is a red flag. Your time is worth so much more than that. Don't chase them. Give them the information. Be respectful. Educate them. Let them go back to the drawing board. Let them maybe learn from their mistakes. They'll come to you eventually. They might have to burn thousands of dollars on a subpar solution because they didn't want to afford you yet as a
Yeah.
fractional CMO, but they'll be back.
My dad used to call that. They'll change when it hurts enough, but it doesn't hurt enough yet.
I love that. And I like to say, pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah.
It's going to come.
Okay. So oftentimes there are two guests. There are usually two guests, and I let the guests ask each other a question because it's kind of like you're in a building full of fractional CMOs, and randomly two of you are in an elevator together.
Yeah.
There is no one to ask a question to. So how about you can either ask a question just sort of to the audience or talk about something you wonder about.
Mm-hmm.
You never know who's going to get back to you. Or, if you want, you can ask me a question, anything you want, and then we'll go from there. Your call. Dealer's choice.
Okay, so I do have a question for both you and the audience, my fellow fractional CMOs, or anybody listening that has worked with fractional CMOs or are interested in working with them. What's a rookie mistake? And I want to hear from you because we're both
I
having
know
this
the answer to
conversation
this.
right now.
Go ahead.
Well, what is a rookie mistake when it comes to being a fractional CMO? You walk in, you're shaking hands, they had already signed the proposal, and you're getting down to work. What is one rookie mistake that a lot of people make in the first 90 days as a fractional CMO for a client?
All right. I'm going to tell you two rookie mistakes. The
Okay,
first one
awesome.
is like after you've signed the paperwork and you started the engagement. And the other one is before you even get to that point.
Okay.
The one showing up is not having like a very clear frame for what you're there to do. Either you haven't communicated it to them or you don't know it yet. And you think you're there to sort of, just fight fires. Right? If you haven't framed them up that you're, and there are lots of different types of fractional CMOs, right? There are execution-based fractional CMOs. There are strategy-based fractional CMOs. There are sort of like advisor, guide, coach kind of fractional CMOs, or there might be like a middle layer of management and a marketing team that's big enough and they just don't have like sort of like forward vision kind of thing. And so if you show up not knowing and having established for day one what you're there to do, then very few of those folks get re-upped after the first 90 days.
Ooh, that's good.
Right. And no offense to like fractional CMOs, but for the most part, it's very much like running for Congress or being a congressman or woman in that you're always running for, right. You're always looking to get reelected.
Yep.
And so the ones who don't get re-upped are the ones who are just sort of like, they're not a knife. They're just sort of like a big piece of gauze over something. And it's like, well, do we really need gauze? Right. In the little part I pay attention to, the gauze didn't help much. And maybe you helped a lot, but you didn't have it like very clearly framed. And so it's hard to judge you and re-up you if they don't know how to measure you.
Yeah.
And then the one that I see all the time, I talk to a lot. I'm not a fractional CMO, but I talk to hundreds a year, right? They think, and I've said this on the podcast before, they think that they're in a marketing-led business, that their business themselves, that they're in a marketing-led business and not a sales-led business.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right? I'm sorry to tell you, but even though you're a marketer and you're selling marketing services, kind of, you don't get your clients by marketing. You get them by high-touch selling. You need to get in front of a lot of people and talk to a lot of people. There's no silver bullet. You can't start a Substack and get tons of clients. You can't run ads and get tons of clients. You can't, like, one post on LinkedIn is not going to do it for you, right? It's not going to work. You're not in a marketing type business where you're selling this. I'm in a marketing kind of business. I have a marketing led business, right? I sell two things. I sell A and I sell B, and B comes in two sizes, medium and small. And that's it. I can just rinse and repeat over and over and
Right.
over. People buy, they even buy with credit cards. They just buy over and over and over, even though it's a service business.
Yeah.
But the other folks, the actual fractional CMOs, who are most of my clients, most of my work comes through fractional CMOs, they are always looking and always wasting money trying to find that silver bullet marketing tool that will get them out of having to actually talk to people and
Yeah.
sell themselves. And there is no substitute for it. I'm sorry. Like, there's no difference in how a fractional CMO gets a client today and how a similar kind of person would have gotten a client 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So sorry to tell you, but you're in a sales-led business, and you're in a sales-led business because every engagement is different. Every engagement is bespoke, how long it lasts, what you're expected to do, the environment you're going into, the scope, right? It's different on every project, which means that you're in a sales-led business because you need that sort of relationship and wiggle room, as opposed to just rinse and repeat like my business is.
So true. And it's so funny too that if if you're in the marketing industry, positioning yourself as a fractional CMO, you should know this.
Yeah.
You should be preaching this to people, and you probably are, but you don't take the time to look at yourself and wonder why you're so frustrated
Yep.
that it's taking so long to get traction, or that single LinkedIn post or that Substack didn't launch you into
Yeah.
high demand, right? It
Yep.
takes time.
And then I guess there's a third thing that I would pass along, and this is so human nature-y that it's almost a truism.
Hmm.
Uh, um, the same fractional CMO, the same marketing leader, can have two Zoom calls back to back, right? The first one is to a prospect or their client, and the second one is me, let's say.
Right.
Because one of the things I do is help figure out their own positioning and sort of angle and stuff. They'll, in the first call, they spend the entire time trying to convince that customer, look, you need to have a niche. We need to focus your message. There needs to be clarity, right? You need to like push on one thing, fix one thing, perfect one thing to drive revenue and awareness and develop the brand. And then, you can't just try to be everything to everybody. It doesn't
It's
work.
true.
Then they'll hang up that call. They'll get to me and I'll say, okay, so like, you're going to have to like niche down. You have to focus. We need to be, right?
But I
And I
can
say,
do business with
yeah, but
everyone.
right. And I do so many things, Dean. And, I don't want to leave money on the table. And so
Hmm.
they will not follow the exact same advice they give
Yeah,
every single client, even though they
absolutely.
know it's true. So,
You're leaving money on the table when you don't niche down, because now
oh
your
God,
message
yes.
sounds like everybody else in a highly, highly
Yeah.
saturated industry.
I tell them, look, nothing about this has changed since the 60s when Reese and Trout wrote that positioning book. I said, your client's brain is a kitchen full of cabinets and drawers, and you either belong in the drawer that you're supposed to belong to, or you're in the junk drawer. And
Hmm.
you never want to be in the junk drawer. I mean, the beauty of it is you get to walk into someone else's kitchen brain and create your own cabinet if you want to and put it there, but you can't just be in the junk drawer. Plates
Yeah.
go in the plate cupboard, and forks go in the silverware drawer, and everything else is in the junk drawer. And no one goes to the junk drawer first to look for a fork.
That's right.
There's a place for forks.
That's right. They'll know where
Knock
to
it off.
find you if you're in the right spot. You've been
Yeah,
clear about who you serve and what you do, and yeah,
yeah.
make it
And the
easy for
idea
them to
that you
find
get to create your own cabinet and occupy it and be the only one in it
you. Hmm.
is great, and yet people don't take advantage of it. I don't know.
It's
Okay,
wild.
Katheryne, thank you very much. This has been great. Who should be contacting you these days? Kinds of companies, or people with what kind of problem, and how should
Yeah.
they get to you?
So if you've been in business over a decade and your revenue has plateaued, perhaps you are in the IT MSP kind of space. And when I say MSP for just other fractionals listening, I mean managed service providers.
Right.
Just because I have a background in cyber and things like that, that's one I've niched into that. Reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn. I know my name is spelt super crazy, but try your best to type in Katheryne Womack. You should see that on your screen. Also, my website is listed right up top, wherever you end up putting it when you publish this, right? When you post it. But wsiworld.com/Katheryne Womack. I hope they can spell my name. You'll find me though. You'll find me.
You'll find you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Katheryne. This has been fantastic. Oh my. I like it when I only have the one guest,
Uh-huh.
in that like you get to expand a bit or have more fun.
Yeah, that is more fun. The
Yeah.
group ones too. Like I'm always concerned, like, am I engaging everybody enough and
Right.
giving them
Yeah.
enough time? And yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Katheryne. See you next time. Bye.